My name is Tony. I run the growth practice here at Mucker Capital. So, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. Just wanted to give a quick intro to myself. You could read all about Mucker Capital at Mucker's website. Again, we're an early stage fund, but really the star of today's session is our friend Alex Velinov. He is the VP of AI and technology. And this guy's a wizard because we were reviewing some of his stuff in preparation for the presentation. And he gets really hands-on. And what I am super excited about today is not just slides. He's actually going to go through a live demo on how to set up, things like a knowledge base and chat function. So, Alex, super excited to have you. And yeah, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks very much, Tony. Thanks very much to having me here on the webinar. And I'm really excited to share what I know and I hope this will be helpful for everyone on the webinar. So quick agenda. What we're going to do today, I'm going to cover AI agents introduction. What are AI agents? What's the difference? I'm going to cover 3 multiplied by 2 types, which means you see what that means. That's 6 different dimensions. You can think about AI agents, just top level. And then I'm going to talk about what are the building blocks of AI agent, and I'm going to do live demo. I pre-prepare some of the stuff simply because it just takes time to generate everything, but I'm going to run you through the whole process, and then we have Q&A. Obviously, if you have any question, you can put them in a chat, and Tony can ask me while we are talking. But before we start, just like a quick three questions. Sorry, we see the answers later about like to see where we are with AI in general. If you can scan this code with your smartphones or you could go to Slido and select 2346654. I'll give you 10 more seconds. And my first question is, how much AI is already integrated into your business today? Extensively.
So
All
that's
right.
person so far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We'll
please,
see.
please definitely. This is a live polling tool that Alex is using. So definitely participate because we'd love to see your response.
Hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I see most of the time. People are experimenting, and I'll say that's the best way to start with, because you need to get your hands dirty. Other than that, you're never going to learn how to do it. I'm going to go to the next question. So 48%, almost half of the people are experimenting, which is great. How many hours daily do you use AI? And while you're typing, I'll say I have a friend of mine. He's called Paul Bear, and he's from Boston AI community. And he said, if you are a CEO or like a top, top, top leader in a company, if you use AI less than 3 hours per day, you don't have ability to have opinion. So yeah, if you're using three plus hours per day, you're a hardcore user. But most of the people stay here between 1 and 3 hours per day, which is great. And finally, if I give you an AI assistant today that worked perfectly, what's the first task you're going to delegate? So we're going into a dream zone. We don't think what is possible, what is impossible, but what actually we want. So let's see here.
Thank you.
FAQs. Okay, we're going to cover this today. Design, product, and brand. Hands-on education content for my web app. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hmm. Okay.
Implement how to in my software. So time management. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Okay, that's great. Thanks very much for that. Most of these things are possible to be done. Some of them are easy, some of them are hard. Sometimes easy things are actually hard and vice versa. But anyways, let's just move on. So the first thing I want to cover is what is AI agent. There are very, very different opinion of what is AI agent. Some people say AI, if you have AI with job and tools, that's what we can define. That's how we can define AI agent. Some other things that AI agent is something that help you, AI tool that help you achieve your goal. For example, ChatGPT may be considered as an AI agent. Some other things that we need to call agent only software that is working autonomously, which is fair call. Some other thing that AI agent needs to be something AI system or tool that is reasoning the environment around and it's acting based on the input information, changing the environment, etc., etc. And the final kind of theory of what is AI agent is that you use a multiple prompting or multiple steps to get the answer you need. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. These are all theories, and some of those are, let's say, more agentic than the other. But the most important thing I want to share here with you is that this kind of business, it's really booming at the moment. So it was valuated in 2023 to 3.7 billion kind of revenue business, and now in 2025 is $150 billion business, AI agent business. So zooming out a little bit, what business needs in general, what you need to run your business, you need your team, you need your customers, and you need obviously revenue to do all of that. I'm saying this because I want to make kind of direction to what kind of agent actually you need. So what are the three kind of agents? The first are internal agents. These are the agents that are used internally for your team. I'll give example, like a practical example of what exactly that means. But talking here is this can be something like consolidate all your documentation, internal documentation, knowledge bases, and everything that helps you be more efficient with communication between different people. Because what's happening and what statistics says is that 30% of the time people are searching or researching information when they're doing their job. The other one are external. These are the one that we're going to talk mostly today. So this can be your customer support or something that answers your frequency asked question or give direction on your customers, prospects, or whoever visiting your website and is interested to your business, give the right information at the right time. And the last one I'm going to call custom. These are any of those which is not part of internal or external. And I'll give example with that as well. Then the second way we can divide the agents is that I'll call that the medium they work with. Obviously, the most common and we know are chat-based agents, like ChatGPT is something like that, or the one that we're going to try to build today is going to be chat-based agent. So you interact, put in text, and the answer is with text. The same concept, but with voice. It's similar to a phone call. They're getting more and more popular. And how they work, it's exactly like a call. You call the agent, you talk with the agent, and you solve the problem talking to the agent. They are very good for helping in, call centers, for example. We here in our agency use it in a different way, voice agents, and we have very interesting use cases. And the final one is the video, which basically you talk to a video avatar. I have one example I want to show you today. It's an experiment, but yeah, you can see how it works. So obviously, if we think about the price of all of this in terms of tokens you're burning or you're using, the text agents will be the cheaper one, then the voice, and then the video agent. Just for example, voice agent can cost you something like, let's say, 10 cents per minute of chat, of talking. And then the first thing I want to introduce you here is the agent we built internally. This is our internal agent, and this is actually our first digital employee in the agency. So let me introduce you Apollo. I'll play the marketing video which was created for our internal use for our team. Oops, sorry. Previous, you see.
Hello everyone, my name is Apollo. your friendly AI agent here at Tag Digital. I'm thrilled to be part of the team and help make your work life a bit easier. I've been created from our extensive internal documentation, about 300 documents to be precise. Think of me as your digital encyclopedia and guide, all rolled into one. So, what can I do for you? Quite a lot, actually. Here's a quick rundown. I can answer most of the questions you typically ask your team leads or office manager. Need information on our procedures? I've got you covered. Looking for specific documents? I can provide links. I can walk you through step-by-step guides. Questions about our policies, whether HR or branding? Just ask. I can also handle general digital marketing queries like metrics, strategies, and more. Remember, I'm an AI agent, not a magician. If I can cover 90% of your inquiries, that's a win. I'm available 24/7, so make me your first stop for most questions. I'm here to make your job easier, and with your help, I'll keep getting better. Thanks for having me on the team, and I look forward to assisting you.
Alex, and just to clarify,
Just
this
ask
is an internal facing agent that your company is using as a resource, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
That's something that basically we trained with everything, all the internal knowledge. So all the internal knowledge we have, all the procedures, all the HR stuff, all the frequency asked question we answer every single day, company policies, frequency asked questions of employee, and we index all the links to all of those documents. So we have the documents as a content. It's the agent is trained with this database, but also if you want to go into more detail of something, let's say, for example, how to do Twitter conversion tracking, there is a document like showing step-by-step guide. Obviously, there is some for this thing. There are some challenges. I think one of the challenge probably you face when you have this problem, because if you're a small startup and you're 3-5 people, you don't need that. But once you go above 15-20 people, then the information flow is start to getting a little bit harder to do, and then that's where people start creating something I call folklore, because there's no clear answers of the questions. Anyways, so adoption is something that probably you may problem, and the best way I'll suggest to do when you need to do that is to manage very well expectations of what this thing can do, because most people think, oh, this is AI, this is magical, but it's not, unfortunately. That's why we even in our internal marketing, we say if we can cover 80% of your inquiries and we can answer properly, that's a big win, because that saves hundreds of hours per year of internal communication. Anyway, that's an example of internal agent. So the next one is external. And I have one example of a project we work for a company called Scottish Edge, and they wanted to have a voice agent. So this voice agent basically answer frequency asked question from the people visiting the website. And I have one video demo here. I'll play it. So that's a quick chat. I just talked with him. It's called Edgeworth. So I talked with Edgeworth for like 1-2 minutes just to get an idea how it looks like and how it sounds. Let me play it.
Friendly and knowledgeable AI guide for Scottish Edge. I'm happy to assist you with any questions you have today. Before we begin, please let me know your name, the purpose of your inquiry, and I'll see what I can do to help.
Hello, Edgeworth. My name is Alex, and I'm calling from Tag Digital.
Hello, Alex from Tag Digital. Great to hear from you. What's the purpose of your inquiry today?
I want to know more about what is the overall application process for the main competition.
Certainly. For the main Scottish Edge competition, the application process involves a few key stages. First, you'll need to complete an online application form and submit a 3-minute video pitch. Then there are 3 assessment stages. The first stage assessment is a review of your written application and video. The semi-final presentations are live pitching sessions. And finally, the top scoring businesses pitch live to a senior panel. Does this give you a good overview, Alex? Would you like more detail on any of these stages, or perhaps information about support resources to help with the application?
No, that's enough for me at the moment. Thanks very much for your help, and have a lovely day. Yeah,
Happy I could help with your inquiry. Have a wonderful day.
just to get an idea of how a voice agent can work. And the whole thing is done within 11 Labs. It's very easy to do. It's an easy interface. It's easy to understand, and all the data from the call you can transcribe and directly send it to your CRM system, or send it directly through email or whatever you need it. So it's really useful and helpful, and it's really easy to set up. There's like from time to time you need to to figure out some things because there's not a lot of documentation, but anyways, you'll figure it out.
Question from the audience, Alex, about
Hmm.
that voice AI. So the question is, how does the AI agent handle interruptions, being cut off? Any examples?
The voice agent, you mean, I assume?
Yeah, the one, yeah.
Well, it depends of how you instruct it. Most of the time, he or she is going to listen, and then when you start talking, he is going to stop talking. That's how most of the agents are doing, because they're programmed to be helpful, and they're programmed to listen and to answer. So if the agent is talking and you start talking over the agent, he will stop.
Right.
Mhm. Cool. So what a customer support agent can do and what are the benefits? Obviously, the first thing, you have 24/7 automated query resolution. So you can answer your prospects, your clients, or whoever every time of the day and night. It can answer frequently asked questions. That's the most way people are using it. And it can have knowledge in details of your business, product, services, etc., etc. Some other kind of big benefit is that it can be turned to multilingual support. I don't know if that's the case for American audience, but if you're running business in a multiple location, this agent can easily switch without any instructions. It's just imagine it's a setting in the checkbox setting. It can switch between different languages. So if you start talking in Spanish, the agent is going to continue to answer you in Spanish, which is great. And one other thing you need to think about when you do this agent is to create something inside the instruction which is sentiment driven escalation protocol, which means that sometimes they obviously, you probably imagine, they can answer very in the best way to the inquiry, and that's why people get frustrated. So you can put something at the back end that is monitoring this frustration, and when this happens you can say, okay, I can answer this question, I can redirect you to email, or I can redirect you to a person if the person is available, if there is such a workflow. You can do that. But what I'm trying to say here is that you have an option to basically protect your brand in this way, because at the end of the day, at the back end, this is large language model that is driven all of those things, so you don't have 100% of control of what's going to happen. Whatever guardrails you put, you're not 100% control. Anyways, so moving forward, we covered internal, external, and then I'm going to give you example of one custom, which is video. So I deliberately say, okay, I'm going to do one text, one audio, and one video. This one is a sales agent. So what a sales agent can do, can pre-qualified leads, can help you do deep research on companies or people. That's actually in multiple agents. It doesn't need to be one specific. Personalized email and sequences, you can use agent to help you build this email sequences. Real-time sales coaching, so you can monitor the calls and see how you're performing in your sales calls and give you feedback on the fly of what you can improve. Are you keeping attention, etc., etc. And then can do call analysis and recommendation based on the actual call. We here have something like this. We use actually third-party system called Fathom, which is note taker, but Fathom have a very good API. So on top of that, we managed to build like a system that is doing few very interesting things. The one thing is that we basically mark the sentiment of everyone in every single call and report that to whoever needs to know that. That's the one thing. The other is that we monitor the whole call and then do quality assessment of the call, saying, okay, there's like a whole system how we mark the call. But at the end of the day, there's 5 criteria, and we know if the call was good or not based on these 5 criteria objectively. And we do that mark, and also we can send feedback to a person from our side in the call saying, okay, this is your call, that's how you can improve your call. So, sometimes you can get something off shelf ready to be used, but you can build with very, very little knowledge, just with, let's say, with Zapier and OpenAI API, you can build amazing things. Cool. Moving forward. So I'm going to show you example. This is a real call between video agent, which is basically something like customer support agent. The interesting part here is that this is a digital twin. This is a clone. So from the right side, the female, this is my CEO, Laura. So we experiment with her and say, let's create, as a CEO, obviously, as a startup, she's doing a lot of sales and she's been involved in a lot of communication with clients or prospect. So, and she has the same question. I say, okay, can we, let's try to build a clone, the clone that actually it's answering question. This is just a quick demo to get an idea of how this looks like, how it sounds like, and how accurate it can be. Okay, playing it.
Hey, this is Laura Davidson, Digital Twin. I'd love to explore how we can help you achieve your event marketing goals.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How can I assist you today?
I'm launching a brand new event and I've got a budget of $25,000. How would you recommend I spend that?
That sounds exciting. With a $25,000 budget, I recommend focusing on visitor promotion minimum budget of £10,000 and brand awareness campaigns minimum of £5,000. This will help maximize visibility and drive registrations. Would you like more details on these services?
No, that makes sense. The other question I had was, how do I actually brief in my campaign?
Sure, the briefing process includes receiving client briefs, collect details about your goals, audience, and event objectives, create and G media plans, develop a tailored strategy and budget 3 platform access setup, ensure proper ad account setup for invoicing setup, establish transparent billing processes. If you need more details on any step, just let me know.
No, that's good. I did have one final question. What time do you get off work tonight?
I'm here to assist you 24/7. If you have more questions or need help, feel free to ask anytime. What else can I do for you today?
So yeah, that's kind of a little bit funny, or should be at the end. So that's how a clone can look like. It can be a real person, but also you can create the same concept with a synthetic persona. The process is really easy to be done if you have a good equipment for shooting and for sound recording. You can do that very easily. Obviously, all this system needs a verification for the person. So once you do recording, you do another recording that's saying, okay, that's me, because that's how you can easily do deep fakes and things like that, because you can train with the video, which is actually not live video, it's not yours. Anyway, so that's another example. I hope it's helpful. Cool. So now going back into it, what are the building blocks of the AI agent? So there's few things. I'll say the first one is the knowledge base. This is probably the part that will get you the most of the time to get it. My experience in building different agents is that this is the part of the process that actually it's the hardest one to create the knowledge base and to gather the information. For example, with this one, Apollo, there's 300-400 documents. Just to gather this information, it's a big task. Then the next thing is to choose a platform. Choose a platform depends of your needs and your goals. Is it going to be a text-based agent? Is it going to be voice agent, or is it going to be video agent? What are the pros, the cons of those? All of this has pros and cons. Obviously, text are most accessible and cheaper one. Voice are quicker one. Let's say you can have more interactions for less time. And video are probably the most innovative, let's say, one way or another. So it really depends what you want to do. Then the next thing is to create the main instruction, or something they call the main prompt of the agent, which basically instruct the whole thing, how it works at the backend. I'll show you in a minute. Then the next thing is to do testing, proper testing. There is something called oops, sorry. Okay, so there's something called rubric assessment scale, and that's how you test all these agents. And the final bit is deployment. These are the stages, and I'm going to show you now an example of how you can build an agent basically in, let's say, in an hour. So I'm going to switch here to ChatGPT. I'm going to use ChatGPT for this example. Obviously, you can do that not only with ChatGPT. I'll suggest you to try it with Perplexity as well. But what is the purpose here? What I'm going to try to do now is to create first the knowledge base. And the knowledge base, just to be simple, it's going to contain two main things. The first thing is going to be description of our products and services. I'm going to use our company because I know it, and it's easy to get the information. I don't know if it's true or not. You can do exactly the same with your company. And the second part is to have frequency asked questions. So what I'm going to do here, I'm jumping into ChatGPT. I already done it because I don't want to wait, and create a prompt doing a deep research on my company. And I say here, okay, most detailed and structured information available in English about products and services of Tag Digital with URL. And then here I just put some, let's say, variables. And I use deep research for that. You need to wait probably around half an hour to get this information, but it gets very, very extensive information of all your products and services. And you can see here what is the source. So obviously this is our own website. Somewhere you can see it's coming from somewhere else, but that's actually all the knowledge internet knows about our company. Once you have this document, which you see it's really long, it's big, the next thing you need to do is to, unfortunately, you need to read it and to be sure that everything here is correct, because that will be your knowledge. I read it, it's fine. Then the next thing, once we have this document, obviously we copy paste and create one PDF file with this document. The best way to formatting those kind of documents is to use Markdown format, which is the best format readable from large language models, which means you have, I don't know if you know what is Markdown, but you have H1, H2, H3, and this is like a hierarchy in the document, what is the top level and lower level on the same topic. Anyways, so that's done, the simple prompt, done the whole research about the company, so you don't even need to go to all of your departments to get this information. See, I'm still scrolling.
Hey, Alex, a couple of questions. So several people are interested in seeing the prompt that you use for this.
Okay.
Do you mind scrolling back up, or can you send
Yeah.
us a copy afterwards? So that's the first question, just so that people can get an idea of what
I
prompt you use.
I'll show you the prompt, but my suggestion is I'm going to put all the prompts in one document and I'll send you over after the webinar, and you can share with the
Perfect.
audience if that's
That'd be
fine.
super helpful. Thank you. And then another question is you put in your company's website. Now, I'm assuming your website has been around for a while, so there's a lot of content. Can you give some sort of guidance on our founders, where many of them could be very early stage and they may not necessarily have a ton of content on their website? Is this still a viable use case for them?
Yeah, I'll say if you have a website, and on this website there is even minimal description of your products and services, and you talk about your products and services, let's say on YouTube, for example, on some podcast, this information will be picked up. However, if you don't have any information, obviously you need to create a simple document. It doesn't need to be 75 pages. It can be 4 pages, like what are your 3 products or 3 services you're offering. You're starting now the business. These are our core services. This is how it works. And if you can answer some of those questions here in the prompt, great, put it there. You create just one document. That's your knowledge base. But I'll say most of the businesses already have website, and most of the information is already there. So you can basically use AI to automatically scrape this information for sure you need to validate it. You don't need to skip this step because that can create problems down the line. So yeah, prompt, I'll share the prompt. This is example prompt. You can probably do better prompt, but yeah, that's give you very, very detailed information, including prices if you have prices, etc., etc. You can do exactly the same with Perplexity as well. I use specifically here in this case deep research and ChatGPT simply because I'm just going to run the whole process in one chat with ChatGPT just to be easy to understand and digest. So anyways, I have this document.
Alex, one
Obviously.
more question about
Mhm.
the scraping of the data. So you, in this example, you dropped into company URL.
Mhm.
Are there so a couple of related questions that I'll paraphrase. Someone was wondering if there are other types of content that you feel like would be useful to also include, not just your website. For example, perhaps Google Drive folders with a bunch of documents. Can you drop in a link there as well, or other do you have recommendations for any other content to include?
Yeah. If you have documents already, you can attach them here. Keep in mind that this thing is understanding only text. So if there are shiny presentations with a lot of color and images and there's not a lot of text, that's not going to be useful. Just keep in mind. One other thing you can do if you have more information and you want also to be like a mindful about this information, maybe like a confidential, you can use a tool called Notebook LM, which is Google tool. You can upload all these documents there. You can send a link to your website, or you can send a link to YouTube videos, and you can say, just go there. It's like a chatbot, and just ask, can you give me create like a document covering comprehensive cover of product and services of this company. I put Tag Digital website only because not because of the website. There's a different reason because there's a different business called Tag Digital, and I want to be sure that there's no because if you say Tag Digital, there's watches called Tag Digital,
Yeah.
and I want to be sure that it's exactly about this. So I actually could not put a website. May say something like Tag Digital, digital marketing agency, and that's enough. So just make to be sure that you're covering the right brand. That's the only reason I put Tag Digital website, not nothing else.
Yeah, no, that's a very important point because we have portfolio companies where the name of their company is a very common word. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then what I've done, and I'll give you this prompt as well. I say following. Okay, now I need to create. So the first bit, like the product services, this is synthetic data. It's created. You check it. You happy? Cool. That's your one part of the knowledge base. Then the second knowledge is frequency asked question. How you get frequency asked questions? Multiple ways. The best way is if you already have a questions and answer, put them in a document. So from like emails or whatever system you have to communicate with your clients and prospects, scrape the data from there. You can use even ChatGPT or Notebook LM to convert this into a frequency asked question pairs, which means question and answer. What I've done here, I've done something different. I created one very extensive document. If you want, I can share that with you as well. Like a comprehensive list of frequency asked question applied for every single business, yeah, universal, let's say. So these are the most common question. And then I just basically copy this here, paste it into ChatGPT with the prompt, and then basically said, use the information above and answer all those questions. And these are the questions. And then basically it used the information we already scraped with the products and services and start answering questions. So what are products and services do you offer? We offer digital marketing services, including pay-per-click, blah, blah, blah. And then that's the pairs. Somewhere you can see NA, because that's what I say in the prompt. Say, if that's not available, just mark NA. And then you have a list. What you need to do is again to read this and to see if it's correct. If it's not correct, correct it. If something is not valuable, you can just basically delete it. Copy this, and then you have, like at the moment, synthetic data for your frequency asked questions. Great. So we have our database already done.
Did I
And
Could I add
Mhm.
one quick tip that I've found to be useful? So if anyone is curious of, how to even identify your own FAQs, something you could try is if you're using a AI note taker like a Fathom or Fireflies, you're recording them. Sometimes they could identify for you, or you could simply just grab all the links to recording and put it into Notebook LM as well,
Mhm.
and just ask Notebook LM, hey, what are the common questions asking all of these calls? That will give you very specific ones related to conversations that you've had with your prospects. So that's another great way to find FAQs as well.
Yeah, yeah. If you have like a transcripts of your code, that will be very helpful to extract this information. Yeah, that's very good call. What else I wanted to say here about the frequency asked question? There's something in my head, but it's disappeared. Anyway, I hope it come back. Yeah, I remember now. So once you have these frequency asked questions, I'll also encourage you to put them in the website because these things are the one things that are pick up from large language models like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. These are the things that they pick up and put the answers in their answers because they scrape the web. And then that's how you can start optimizing your content for large language models. So if someone's searching for something, because people now searching for answer in perplexity in ChatGPT as well, then your brand will be there. The link will be to your brand, which will bring traffic and business at the end of the day. So that's a good thing. If you have you need to have FAQ on your website because that helps you optimize your content to for large language models. But that's, let's say, that's a marketing tip. Cool.
Yeah,
So
that's a great tip. Just if I could just add one quick thing. Yeah, we're actually going to be doing either a webinar session or a live session at, let's say, like a LA Tech Week, if you're going to be in LA later this year, on that very topic, answer engine optimization. So, but yeah, that's a quick freebie from Alex with FAQs for your website. That's has multiple benefits, not just for your customer success,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
So now we need to put this all together. And I already done it just to be quick, but I'm going to show you. So that's this is a software called Chatbase. It's for creating text-based chat AI agents or chatbots or whatever. And what I've done, I create this one called Charlotte, like 1 hour before the webinar, and I'm going to run you through the whole process. So the first thing is that's how the interface looks like. You go to sources, and here I uploaded these two documents, the one I created in ChatGPT and the frequency asked questions, synthetic data. And apart from that, I also can put here the URL of my website and fetch the info. So it gets the data, all the data from all of those pages. So it's basically index your website and get all the information from the website. As you can see here, the sources, the training data, it's 2 files and 742 links, 70 megabytes. So that's where you start with. That's your knowledge base. Then the next thing is you need to create your main prompt, which means explain what this agent is doing. And I think it's in settings, and then you go to AI, and that's the main prompt. I'm going to run like over this just to give you an idea what this may include or not include. It doesn't need to be so comprehensive. This one is basically saying, what's your role? And you say your role is your friendly casual AI support agent trained to help users with frequency asked questions and product service information based strictly on defined training dataset. And you say here out your personal trained, you're friendly, honest and direct, focused. Then you cover a few scenarios like accurate and firm responses, strict adherence on training data because they're likely to just start to hallucinate from time to time. That's what you need to test with your testing. Then structured response, etc., etc., etc. Behavior, how to behave, and that's the main prompt of the thing. As I said, it doesn't need to be so comprehensive. You can even go even with this one. What's your role and what you do? That's enough from time to time. it really depends if you want this, for example, to collect leads or to do into specific, let's say, chat flow, asking some question that you need to get to, for example, pre-qualify leads or something like that. The prompt will be different because the purpose of the agent will be different. But you create your main instructions, then you select what actual model you're going to use. In this case, we're using ChatGPT 4. Obviously, you can use some of the others, are Claude or Gemini. Gemini 1.5 Flash is good as well. It's cheaper and it's very quick as well. But for this purpose, you can use this one. And the last thing is to set the temperature. I don't know if you're aware what is this parameter, but wherever the temperature is higher, it's getting more creative, which means that it's going to stick less to your training database. It's just going to start making up a thing. But it's a thing if you create a chatbot that or AI agent that give creative advices, that's fine. It may be creative or writing ad copy or something like that for your clients. But in our case, because we want to answer on product services and want to be as accurate as possible, we stick to 0 or reserved. And that's your main prompt. That's how you create the agent. And then the final bit, it's to not the final bit, but create the actual interface of the chat, not the chat, the actual interface of chatting. So you set an initial message. That's how you do it. You can do whatever. You can predefine suggested messages. So you can pick up from frequency asked question like 2 or 3 topics you want to cover. And I put here what are tag digital services, what are products. I'm current client and I need help. I need to speak with your team. So they're predefined like a chat GPT. You click and it gives you an answer. You can see even how it looks here on the right side. And then you set some other stuff. You can put something in the footer. You select team, upload profile image. We wouldn't have a time to cover this, but this is synthetic image I created in Midjourney with a simple prompt. But I'm going to put the prompt in the document I'm going to send you. So yeah, create an image for the profile picture icon, etc., etc. Save it, and there it is. That's the agent. And finally, let's say I make it public. There's some things about security. If there's a lot of requests, you can just stop answering. And what else I want to show you here is to basically deploy it live. Once it's ready, it ends up with this JavaScript code, which you can deploy as a bubble here on the website, right hand side, or you can create an iframe and put it on a page. That's how I do it most of the time. And yeah, you can share and you can see how it looks like here. So this is the agent. As you can see, that's now it's on the whole page, but it's starting the chat. And then I can start with something like that. What your tag digital product services. And then referring to the database we already created. And then give us the answer. Also the price. That's when you can start chatting. This one specifically, let's ask something. It's really hard to type here. I don't know if it's typing because I can see it.
Yeah, we can see where you're typing.
Okay, let's see. A typo anyways. So yeah, so that's everything of that is in the database. Obviously, you can give feedback to the chatbot, good, no good, and then all of this is recorded at the back end. So if you go there and you can go into analytics, you can see like where it's coming from, and you can see total messages, total chats, etc., 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 sentiment, topics. Yeah, you need to upgrade here for that. But anyways, and that's how you create it. Then the next step is you need to test this agent. And what I've done here, again, just to be in the same chat on ChatGPT, I say, okay, this is your training base. Can you create for me 100 questions for testing agents for accuracy, relevance, efficiency, coherence, and language and tone? And it creates a data, and you can basically go there, start asking those questions. I would suggest this to be done by person, even though some people do. There's something called the concept called LLM as a judge. So you can do that with large language model through API or in some other automatic way. You can do that and yeah, test it, make sure that the answers are correct, and that's your covered. And then the next things you need to do obviously is you need to check these logs from time to time or to send it automatically. I can cover a little bit of what else you can do, but you can send them automatically, check them, and if something is wrong, fix it. You can override the answer. So next time someone asks a question similar to this or the same, you're going to have a new updated answer. And in terms of automation, for example, what you can do, you can collect leads. So you create something that start collecting leads in the chat. So in this case, we say, "Oh, I need your email and your email and name," and that's how we collect it. And it appears as a pop-up in a chat, and then this can be automated. For example, here I'm just showing you a very quick example. You can get the data from Chatbase. There's a little bit of back and forth with you need to create the API key, etc., and send this database to your HubSpot, for example. And that's how you can automate getting leads from the chats and record it directly into your CRM system. I think that's the main things I wanted to share with you today. Let me see if I have something else here. That was the demo. That's a few words about me. So I'm Alex. I consider myself as a long-time learner, and that's what I'm doing most of the days, most of the nights. I'm always testing something. And yeah, if you want, you can contact me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active. I also have a newsletter which is basically created for leadership, but I'm talking about AI and what basically leaders can do. I create prompt libraries. I create like a very practical way content for leaders. And yeah, my final call is we are limited only by our own imagination because that's what stops us all the time, nothing else. So that's me, Tony.
Awesome. Cool. We do have several questions that we didn't get to answer during the course of the presentation. And let me just mention a couple things. So you showed a live demo of how to set some of this up live, including some of the prompts, which is great. Well, for the audience, if you guys are still around, we'll make sure we follow up and get a copy of that prompt that Alex uses. Chatbase is a tool. Again, there's plenty of AI chat and support agents out there. He was just using that as an example.
Yeah, that's example.
Great tool. Plenty of other tools out there. We even have some of our portfolio companies do something like this. But again, find the right tool for you guys. And Chatbase, was a great example. The one question that I want to bring up was a question brought on by Matt, which was, can you dump all your support tickets and responses from Zendesk to either glean things like frequently asked questions, answers, or create a knowledge base? And I guess even to take that question a step further, is there a way to automatically reply or answer these support tickets using synthetic responses?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, you can. Once you have all this as a text data, there's whatever it's manual or automatic, there's always way to convert this into a good knowledge base. And then once you have a knowledge base, you can create a chatbot that is actual like a ticketing support. And this knowledge base is going to be the data you have is going to be the knowledge base, and yeah, you can automate the whole process for sure. So someone submit a ticket, and then that triggers whatever is the fields in the ticket, triggers automation that basically refer to the database, connect through some large language model, whatever is OpenAI or Gemini, it doesn't matter, and through a simple prompt form the answer and answer directly to the user via email or whatever is the environment. Everything of that is happening. Yeah, you can do that.
Very cool. Okay. And then let's see. There's a question about going back to the whole voice AI. What's your experience in terms of these voice agents and accents or perceived accents? I think someone in the audience has been experimenting with stuff like that and had noticed that in some languages, there is not a native accent, so to speak. So, any comments on that at all?
Yeah, I have. I have, and that's really interesting question. One of the first voice agent I built was for event that's happening here in Scotland. I'm based in Scotland. It's based in Edinburgh, and it's called European Chatbot Conference. And we created AI influencer. And one of the requirement was we want this person, this persona, it's a female persona, to have Scottish accent. And then when I start trying to do a Scottish accent with the synthetic data, there is not enough data, and it's not Scottish. So there was a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And finally, what I've done, I recorded a person here from the office saying, okay, I explain what's the project. I recorded this person, use this data to train the model, and then use the trained kind of person to be an inspiration to create a new voice. So actually, I use the person to create the accent, but actually I have a different voice, if that makes sense. I've done all of this in 11 labs. All of this, yeah. So if you have a specific language or specific accent you want to cover, the best way is to find a person that speaks that language and that accent, record it properly. You need something between, let's say, depends of what you want to do, but 2 minutes will be enough for training purposes. If you can record 1 hour, best, great. If you can't, it's fine. Or you can basically scrape some YouTube video with this person or this accent and use this for training, and then use that as an inspiration, because there's a lot of parameters you can change: how close is to this, how far away is to this actual voice, and use that for inspiration to create a synthetic voice, like a powered by kind of, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. I know we're at the top of the hour now, so I'd like to wrap up soon, but if I could ask two more really quick questions from the audience. And sorry, we won't be able to get to every single question. We'll try to follow up for those of you guys who are still on. If we don't get your questions answered, just reach out to me or Justin. But the first question I think is an important one to ask. So this is related to data privacy and security, especially if there's content that you're putting into, ChatGPT or other tools in order to generate that database of as the knowledge base. How do you ensure that any proprietary data that you have that you don't want to be exposed to the vast public? How do you think about that and still be able to utilize these AI tools to create a customer support?
Yeah. My suggestion on this one is to read very carefully the terms and conditions. In my specific case, I use ChatGPT because we use Teams. And if you have a Teams account, which basically means you need to have two accounts, connect them into a workspace, and you pay a little bit more, I think, but it's not a deal breaker. Then they said in their terms and conditions that none of your data is used for training purposes for the models. How accurate and how truthful is that? It's another question, but you need to rely it anyways. That's how I cope with this problem. Or if you, for example, use it into, let's say, Notebook LM, it's a completely closed system anyways. So yeah, but you need to, as I said, you need to do your homework first to be able. It's good that people have that awareness, because that's very important for the privacy. For this case, product and services, it's public data, so it's not a big problem. I think this should be public anyways, but sometimes you might want to train with something which is more private or confidential.
Yeah. Cool. And then the final question, and I'll also add my answer to this, is related to implementing a lot of this and connecting to other systems, such as with your chat agent. If you implement it live, One question related to this is, can we link it back to a particular customer record? Short answer is yes, right? Like if you connect to, let's say, your HubSpot or, whatever customer support portal you have, if there's no direct integration with the chat agent, in this case, Chatbase, or, whatever one you're going to use, there's tools that someone else was asking about, things like Zapier or make.com. I've been playing around with another one called nan.io. So these are all, different ways, tools that you could connect different systems. Do you have any preference or ones that you feel like work better than others, Alex, from your experience?
I don't have any specific preference. I personally use Zapier the most, and some of the others are just more visual. I'm aware about Make. I'm also aware about N9A, right? This one. But yeah, my preference has always been Zapier because I'm just, let's say it's a safe space. I'm using Zapier for probably more than 10 years, or
Yeah.
I don't know how many. So that's why it's just convenient, but they all do the same thing.
Yep. Cool. All right. If you don't mind flipping to the final slide, and again, we're going to wrap up. I know many people have already dropped off. Thanks for those of you who stuck with us to the very end. Again, if you guys have any particular questions, you can see my email, Tony at Mucker Capital. On the earlier slide, if you want to connect with Alex, you could connect with him using that QR code. Again, we're going to post this slides and recording up so you get access to that. If you have any particular needs for upcoming topics for us to cover, definitely email Justin at muckercapital.com. And we've already got next few topics already lined up. I already mentioned one of them around answer engine optimization. That's going to be a super interesting one. So stay tuned for that. If you don't follow us or want to stay up to date, go to mucker.com and hit subscribe. We'll get you updated on things that are coming up. And then lastly, again, if you are an entrepreneur and looking for help, definitely consider applying to our accelerator program, where just simply, submit your company and talk to one of our investor team members, and we're happy to help you guys. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. Alex, lots of thanks for you for taking the time to prepare and cover this with us. This is jam-packed with information, and we'll see everyone at the next one.